BC, friends, family, what's going on? Let me talk about some music, okay? It's been... Life is just really interesting, isn't it? I want to thank my friend Hubert in Germany to start with. Hubert Kopacek let me know a few weeks ago that he was going to send me some records, and he bothered me because he wanted to know some specifics about what I would like, you know. And so I shared a couple things and a couple ideas, and Hubert was right on the money. I'm just diving right into this because it's like I just got to do this. I had mentioned to Hubert that I was interested in electronic music and, well, of course, but anytime that I could find things by the band Massive Attack, I love it. And so he sent me, he found for me Rising Sun, 12-inch single by Massive Attack. Limited edition. Spot here for the number. It's not numbered, but this is very nice. Clear vinyl. And love Massive Attack. Got to see them on their I believe it was 1998 when they came to America for the first time. Myself and a friend traveled up to Minneapolis to see them in concert. Well worth it. So thank you, Hubert, for that. I also mentioned that I really like the Orb and don't have too much on vinyl by them, so he sent me Toxigene. And this is nice because it's just basically a white label. Some remixes. There's no label listed anywhere on the cover or the label. Love it. Love it. And you know Dr. Alex Patterson in Youth, and this stuff, like a lot of things over time, there is a certain amount of, well, it recalls up a time period, you know, so you could say there's a certain amount of datedness about it, which I don't mind because I just really like that sound. And Perpetual Dawn on 12-inch. Thank you so much. The Orb. Very happy to add these to my collection. The other thing that he shared with me out of his collection, I believe this is a double of something that probably has been in his collection for a while, and he probably got an upgrade. Grubschnitt, Illegal. Really happy with this album, and particularly like side 2 of this. Wish I could play it for you. It's proggy and German. I don't know how else to put it. I just really like this. I like this a lot. I have maybe one other album by Grubschnitt, maybe 2. I've had more in the past and sold them, you know. Thank you so much, Hubert. Now, besides those, he sent me 2 albums, or 2 12-inch singles, actually, is what these are. And I was not familiar with one of these artists, and the other one I was. I like them both. Thank you much. Jansen, The Primal Scream. Early 2000s, some electronics out of Germany. And I'm loving it myself, you know. Actually, no, that's the other one. This is 2014. This is new. I love this. Jansen, The Primal Scream. Really appreciate this so much. Good stuff. Played this all the way through. I'd have to play it again. Don't think I can get away with it on camera. Look it up. This is good and new. 2014. I looked at this. This other electronic record, which has some really nice cuts on it. It's not consistent, but Markovic. I Need. This one came out a few 2002. Now, I really like this, though. I'll tell you what. I looked online, and this is the sort of thing that you can find this record, but really for next to nothing. And it's interesting because while it's not consistent, there's at least 2 cuts on here that I think are almost brilliant. I mean, for my taste. And I think part of that is I really like rhythm, but I'm not the sort of record collector who is into looking for beats, and that is a big part of collecting or the resurgence of vinyl DJing. Learning a lot actually online from some DJs that I'm meeting who do some heavy digging, and learning a lot. But what I'm saying is, because that's not what I'm necessarily looking for, there's a lot of music that really appeals to me that I think I can get cheaply, because it's not, you know, it doesn't have the beats that people are looking for, but it's like really cool shit. And this has a couple tracks like that. Markovic and lead. So again, Hubert, thank you so much. You've been such a kind friend. You know, I love sharing almost daily with you online, pretty much online daily in Facebook. You and other folks posts about records and music and stuff and life. You know, your pictures of your travels in Europe and stuff. It's great. With that in mind, I want to acknowledge that I got a nice letter from Rob Penix, and I've watched a few other folks, and I do recognize, you know, that stopping in and saying hello every now and then does make a difference, you know, and that absence is absence, you know, and as people we need to be reminded that we're connected. So I feel that, Rob. I feel what you're saying in the letter, and I watch, you know, go through cycles, you know, and but it is important, you know. I mean, we've been doing this for years now, you know, this vinyl community thing, and there are a lot of people. There's just no way to watch and be connected to everyone, and yet everyone is connected. So watching is important when one feels it, and at times it's important to watch just enough to let people know, you know, you're there. I got a pile of music here that I've keeps piling up, so let me show it. I hadn't played this in a long time. Keith Jarrett, In the Light, ECM, piano plus brass or horn. I didn't open this and read it. I just listened to two sides of this, you know. And Keith Jarrett just, again, is one of those folks that's been prolific in his life, and he makes a lot of good music. It's not really throwaway. It's whether or not you're in the mood to go with him where he takes you. This was really a wonderful listen today. Been pulling some of my recently found library sound source albums that I had told you I found last year. Timing Number 7 by the Johanna Group, Pop Music. Listen to this all the way through today. And these albums, it's like listening to just mainly listening to instrumental music that you might hear in the background of films and TV shows. I love it. Love it. Really enjoyed that today. Another one that was really enjoyable is Fairies and Witches, the International Studio Orchestra, conducted by Spencer Nacken. Yeah, I just really enjoyed that. Really liked that. And this was fantastic. A Day in the Life of, and this is by the Hawksworth Studio Sound. And that cover, you know, is fitting, you know, A Day in the Life of, and it goes through these. You can hear it morning till evening, but not. This is cool. This is some cool shit, actually. Really cool instrumental, orchestral music that moves between jazz and all sorts of other things. This is a really good one. A Day in the Life of. Just been gone all over the place with my records. Guru, German band, acid rock. This one, the first side of this is really forgettable. They do this rock and roll medley, which I don't like. It's side 2, Der Elektrolurch and the Story of Life, that really this album is well worth it for. This is an original on Brain. It has the metronome on the label. underneath the brain. That's how you know if it's an original green brain, I think, among other things. I'm no expert. I try to know things. Try to know a little bit. Headlights. Midwestern kind of band that you would associate maybe with shoegaze a little bit. The Enemies EP. It had been so long since I played this, I pulled it, and I had never Blake sleeved this. That's like been years since we got Blake sleeves. So it's like, that was proof right there that I hadn't listened to this in years. And it's a one-sided record. It ends really strong. I like this band. Saw them live. And that's when I bought this from the band live. Eternal Favorites, Caravan, Canterbury band. This album with the clever title, For Girls Who Grow Plump in the Night. And I happen to have a pressing on Brain. I've posted this online a few different times over the years that I've owned it. Because it's curious. You know, the band is from England, and a lot of the records are on Decca, London, and such related labels. And then they have a couple of releases, but you know, again, Brain is a subsidiary of Metronome, which I would imagine is a fairly large label in scope in Germany. So I think that's how this ended up being licensed in Germany on Brain. Great album though, progressive, melodic, wonderful. It's like feel-good music for me. I'd shown this where I'd gotten this, and I've played this a few times. The Steve Roach on here is wonderful. One of my all-time Desert Island favorite albums I played yesterday. Ralph Towner with Glenn Moore, trios and solos. Ralph Towner and Glenn Moore were also in the band Oregon. This is an early ECM release, one of their best, one of their finest releases. This is just like ideal music to me. Side 2 is like a desert island recording. Some spiritual jazz, New Delta Acri, Song of Humanity. This is with Oliver Lake and Leo Smith, Anthony Davis. Introspective, and yet it gets intense. It's actually always intense. There's tension. Then it kind of explodes, but only briefly, because it's like Songs of Humanity is the right title for this expression that the group does here. New Delta Acri. This is fantastic. Attila Zoller, guitarist. I forget what country he is from. Gypsy Cry. Again, I pulled this because I saw that Andrew, I forget his name in the VC online. He does videos. Was showing it. Great album. Man, yeah, this is great. Really good guitar player. Really good guitarist. Some of my favorite music of all time is the Henry Cowell Canterbury School, and News from Babel comes from that. This is a group led by Tim Hodgkinson, Dagmar Krause, Zena Parkins is also a member of this particular configuration. News from Babel. I believe this is their first recording. The music is definitely political, and the thing that in my mind I think of is a stick in the eye to, you know, because the people are so intelligent. It just comes through the music. It's like they're saying, it's like, you're not pulling anything over on us. You know, it's the same old game. Colin Newman from Wire, it seems. Actually, I have this out and haven't spun it yet, but I really like this solo album of his. Spin that. Played this. This is odd. On the Opus label. The New Hippies. The Passion and Transfiguration of a Post-Apocalyptic Eunuch. And it's like there's a narrative running through this, and there's a sheet inside that talks about it. But it's kind of zany, and it's like Zappa-like and Monty Python-like, where there's this music that's going through many different changes. Very interesting, but a lot of dialogue and like quick sketches. It's like you could almost see this being presented on stage. What is the label? Kind of a cool label. One of those kind of obscure labels, if I could afford to. Opus 1. Opus 1. If I could afford to collect the entire catalog, I would. Interesting. I haven't played that yet. Played this, really enjoyed it. The cover is pretty nondescript, but Jan Schaffer, guitarist with prog rock roots in Sweden, I believe. This is more along the lines of kind of jazz rock, maybe even fusion a little bit, but really accessible and really good, actually. It's a really good album. Very, very, very good. He's got some players on this. Really enjoyed that. Pulled this because a reminder, you know, I'm doing this. I have another album vinyl release coming up, and I'm doing it with Savas Georgiadis out of Greece, and this is one of his records, Neuro D. This is one of his aliases, and Audiomatic is the name of this album, and I like this a lot better. It's the sort of thing that it's minimal, and it's motoric, and it's like you kind of put it in motion, and then it either takes off or it doesn't, and it does take off. This is very Kraftwerk influenced, but Neuro D is in charge of the production of the vinyl of my next album, which is from my archives, some old stuff. We're calling it Myths, Realities, and taking pre-orders, and so it's a reminder that and pre-orders are still coming in. I haven't heard an update yet. I'm hoping to hear something soon regarding production, you know, some news on how that's going. I'm thinking things are underway now because we want to have it, you know, for March release. Please look below the video for links to, if you want to order it directly from the Kinetic Records label in Greece, or from me. There will be a difference in the color of vinyl. Again, I'll have to wait and see. This is an interesting adventure. So just a reminder. And I was just listening to Savas's music, which I really enjoy. Another oldie but goodie for me, Stama Yamashita's East Wind, 1 by 1. Yamashita is best known for his Go album, collaboration with Steve Winwood. I like this stuff a lot. You know, on the fusion side, and isn't Hugh Hopper on this album, who's in Soft Machine? Yeah, Hugh Hopper on bass. Original bass player, you know, from Soft Machine, you know, from their best era. So this is in the middle of this video, which is going for a while, but I'm going to go ahead and put this in here because John Karagiannis is another VC member who does music and recently released a vinyl and did a video explaining how he did a limited run of it. It's techno and it was almost gone, and I thought to myself, I do really want that. Now there's Anders Allen in Sweden who's also released a jazz album of his own that I want and haven't bought yet, and that came before this. I want to get that, but I had to jump. I felt like I had to jump on this, so I grabbed this first of the VC releases recent. Dubaptism, and I really like this. Now I think I might be able to play some of this and not have any problems. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and put it on. John Karagiannis, John Techhead, I believe is his VC handle, and this kind of, the way that they presented this, and John, when you see this, tell me if I got this right, but this record comes with no cover, just in a black sleeve like this. And it's a nice marble vinyl. I put one of these inside of the black sleeve. And I'm imagining that partially it comes like this. This is part of how you can afford to make records, is to do it minimally like this. And, you know, I did this with Sonospheres, the first one with just a white cover, you know. But I've thought about doing this, you know, I mean, really going minimal cost-wise just to get the music pressed on vinyl. And this sounds good. The pressing sounds good, and it looks great. So, dub techno, I think is the right. Well, there it is. But good job, John. I like it. We'll keep going here. Arti and Mestieri, Quinto Stato. On Cramps, out of Italy, 70s Italy. Jazz rock. This isn't their best album. The vocals on here kind of mark for me, but great band, great drummer. See, this is the techno thing. I like it. Nice. I'm going to keep going here because I got a huge stack here and I want to put these away. Jazz from Hell, Frank Zappa. When he got the synclavier, electronic instrument, he composed this whole album on it, and it's a unique recording. There's some guitar on here, but primarily it's the synclavier. I think this is excellent. I was getting into some Passport, Klaus Doldinger, and had both of these out. This is the actual second album released in Germany. And then when they made the debut for America, they combined tracks from his first two albums and changed the cover slightly for the first release in America. I have them both. I really like Passport, especially this early stuff. Members of Amandul and other prog bands have been members of Passport through the years. Here's an album that I got from Chris Cole, John Coltrane 68. That I didn't appreciate when he first gave it to me, and I listened to it recently. I really like this. The John Payne Band. Bedtime Stories. Instrumental, jazz, rock. This was reissued with a different cover on Heiress to Freedom. Good album. Good album. An old sampler of jazz, and one side of this album is presented as a radio show, so it was fun to listen to. A 1958 sampler, or yeah, I think 58. Assorted flavors of Pacific jazz. Isn't that a cool cover? Everyone from Jerry Mulligan to Bud Shank, Chet Baker, Lorinda Almeida. That was cool to play. I haven't played that in a long time. Cecil Taylor. This is an album that he made where the bass player, the stories in here, couldn't make it, and as a result, the playing is affected, and in a neat way. Innovations, Cecil Taylor. On the Freedom label through Polydor. Now this, I don't remember how I came across this, but I'm glad I did. A band called One Star. Triangulum. Japanese, kind of lo-fi. But electronic, but not electronic. Using a lot of different elements, and this has just really kept my attention. I'm glad I kept this. Really like this. One Star. Sounds great, John. Okay, I'd shown that. Yep. Okay. David Allen. Let me talk about David Allen. I'll probably come back to him a few times. David Allen, originally of Soft Machine and the originator of Gong, and just a neat guy. Recently announced publicly that his cancer is inoperable, or rather than to keep fighting it, he's just facing that. You know, he just had surgery and it's come back, and he's just got months to live. So been getting into Gong. You know, I've always loved Gong, and thank goodness got to see them live and meet him in 1996. But this is Banana Moon. kind of a neat album that he made with these different people besides Gong members. Robert Wyatt and Gary Wright, you know, Maggie Bell of Stone the Crows. Interesting, cool album. This is an original copy too on Big. So yeah, I've been revisiting a lot of David Allen since getting that news. He really has been a true positive influence on me as far as being you know, honest about his art and how his art is a reflection of his own personal journey in life. Let's listen to more Caravan. If I could do it all over again, I'd do it all over you. Their second album. Original Decca pressing too, out of the UK. Had these records for a long time. Really value them too. John Hassel, part of the Brian Eno series of ambient albums. Possible Musics, just amazing. John Hassel, trumpeter. Just really an excellent musician. More Gong, their very first album, Banana Moon. Here's my original copy of it that I got signed by David, Didier, and Gilly Smith when I saw them in 1996. I don't know why I didn't get Pip Pyle. Oh, Pip Pyle signed it on the inside. I met him before he died. And their first album, they've got it rocking from the beginning, and it's a jazz rock. It's ahead of its time. This is great. Recently, Vince Alice Cooper had a birthday, and so I was playing this, Easy Action. They started off pretty weird, pretty avant-garde, you know. The band weren't the greatest musicians, but they had some neat ideas. Very cinematic, you know, almost like a stage show without a stage, in the mind, you know. Wild stuff. Alice Cooper. Forever loved the band Hawkwind, so I was playing this Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do. This is a Back on Black reissue on gray vinyl. Sounds great. Again, another band I had the pleasure to see about this time in concert. Lemmy of Motorhead was still the bass player. This music, which I've been talking about online, really is a big part of my roots, just like the Beatles to the Motown to James Brown to Stax. All that stuff is my roots, and this is too. This, even though I'm not from Germany, but this space music, space rock is what I called it. Cluster, So So. This is my roots too. This music just means so much, and it really figures into the sensibility of how I make music. It's in there, you know, you folks that like my music. This is definitely one of the references, like Yellow Magic Orchestra. French musician, Guigou Chenevier with Sophie Josseron. And I know I've shown this before. L'Abri des Microclimates. I don't speak the language, but the music is so interesting that it's fine that I don't know what they're saying. Like I've said in many videos before, I'm listening to the music first, and so that's a really good album. More German music, Embryo, Rock Session. Great album. This is a great Embryo album. Again on Brain, Metronome. Zamla, Mama's Mana, Swedish, I believe, yes. An interesting mixture of Zappa, Mothers of Invention inspiration with their own folk roots and jazz. This album, Familia Spricor, incredibly fantastic. I'm seeing that the time is going when they just go a little longer. Candy Claws, and a band I discovered through the internet, Hidden Lands. I think they're out of Colorado, don't quote me. I think it's just two people. I think that cover is perfect. It sounds like a lost soundtrack somewhere in time. This is very psychedelic and wonderful. Hidden Lands by Candy Claws. Now this is a canned bootleg, but it's really well recorded. It's titled Future Days Live, but it's not Future Days Live. It's actually Dokaway. It's still really good. And that BB. Anyway, this is really good. Listen to this again. The God in Hackney. I recommend this. Cave Moderne. I recommend this, yeah. Richard Thompson, Henry the Human Fly. When I found this as a teen, even though it was a cutout, but I could see by the cover, this is something interesting. I didn't know about him at the time. February Convention, I'd heard of them, but this is a great first solo album, a debut solo album. He has talked about being unhappy with his vocals on here. I can see what he means. He sings much better since then, but still, he's singing with all he's got, and these are great songs. Richard Thompson. Sid Arthur, you know, who, I just love this band, you know, and this is their first album. Decided to play it again, it's been a while. Still great. Canterbury Band, you know, continuing the tradition. Morgan Delt, I played this. Psychedelic. Morgan Delt. Mascalero, Band Apart. This is on ECM. It's a band, seems to be fronted by the trumpet player Nils Peter Molvire with Harold Anderson and John Christensen. And this is just fresh. This is not that bland. This is not bland ECM. This is good ECM. I'm just about done here. Trailer Trash Tracy's is something I got through the VC, possibly Daniel James Sallows Rigsby. And I listened to this thinking, you know, that I didn't remember liking it or not, but this is, I do like this. You know, it's got kind of a swirly kind of guitar sound, but I don't want to call it shoegaze. But Trailer Trash Tracy's like this. Esther. Listen to the nom that was given to me recently by John Dawson. Stoner rock, I like it. I do. A couple more things. This is something I found in Chicago a few years ago. Released by the Wah Wah label. And it's with a Spanish band. They were teens at the time, coming up with their own sound, psychedelic wise. But interestingly, the drummer was English, and the drummer is the brother of Tim Hodgkinson of Henry Cow, and that's what got my interest in buying the album. Really great packaging. I'll show you it as I talk. Came with a poster and everything. Frankly, at first when I listened to this, when I first bought it, I was disappointed because the sound is primitive. The band are young on here, and so they don't play with a whole lot of skill, but it comes with a 7-inch as well. I'm trying to get that out. But upon listening to it again, I hear the raw creativity going on this album in retrospect. So really glad that I kept this, and like it a lot more now. Things like this can take perspective, time and perspective, to really see and understand what was happening with the artist at the time. Ohm. There's been a few different bands called Ohm. Aura. This is a band that I think out of the Chicago area. Great cover. For the longest time I was just thinking that this was overblown, but I listened to it again and this is great. Horn rock. Like Buddy Miles Express, really. You know, Blood and Sweat and Tears come to mind, but even more so Buddy Miles Express. And I get it. I like this. This is worth picking up. If you like Buddy Miles, you'll like this. Something I got in trade, even though I don't really care for this song, but it's for my Bowie collection. Tonight, 12-inch single with some remixes. Mainly got it for my Bowie collection. I do really dig David Bowie. Okay, and I could talk, but it's 35 minutes, and there's even more music that I've absorbed on CD and online. And I just got some FLAC files from Roger Coleman of James Blood Ulmer. I haven't dug into that yet, Roger, if you see this, but I'm about to. And you've sent me some other stuff that I really actually couldn't listen to, but didn't say anything about it because my Windows Media Player, which is how I was playing FLAC files, for some reason doesn't work on this computer anymore. But I got another player, and so now I'm good to go. Okay, folks, a little reminder, please, if you're interested in my music, pre-order my next record. I still got Murphy and Flyover for sale and others, and I'll leave the connections. Recently someone complained, but they didn't say what. You know, you let me know what the deal is. You know, you can have your money back. You know, I have integrity, you know, and you people that are with me know that, you know. And if for some reason you're unhappy with what you got, talk to me. I already sent you a message. You know. Much love, people. No misrepresentation here. Okay? No, I'm not a shyster. I'm not a perp. I'm not having it. Good old Dereck, sitting in his house doing what I do out of love. Okay? You know, if something's wrong with the record or something, get a hold of me. It's pretty simple.